What's going on, everybody? It's Jake. We're back in for another YouTube video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the ultimate battery setup for your weekend warrior, the car that you might not drive once every 2 weeks, and some of you guys might only be every couple months. This will be very helpful. It'll keep your battery strong for a long time. Real quickly, if you guys enjoyed the content, be sure to drop a like, hit that subscribe button, because we got to keep the videos coming. We're going to get this thing back on the dyno soon now that we have the issue fixed. So without further ado, let's jump into it and check out the battery system. So just to start, we'll go over where the battery used to be. So all the stock Subarus for the most part have the battery right here, and you can see it's a big open area. On the previous setup, I decided to put the battery in the back because the intercooler piping was kind of all in the way, and it just gave me more room to route everything. So I went ahead and maintained the trunk battery setup for the new engine bay setup because it just makes everything look a bit more clean, and you won't see no ugly battery sitting over there kind of disturbing the beautiful powder coat. So let's go to the back and we'll check it all out. So here's how it's looking in the back, and we got a couple trick things in here. So first thing we'll start off by talking about is the fuel pump wiring, which if you guys have seen the videos, you will have seen the fuel pump wiring video, and I'll put it up on the screen right now. But these two are relays, these two are fuses for the fuel pumps. So both of the relays are getting power off of these fuses, going back over to the relays to give them power. And the first little trick we got is a battery cutoff switch. So I got a marine battery cutoff switch, and as you can see right here, there's some extra hot wires. Now you might be wondering, what are they doing? So they are for the cutoff switch. The cutoff switch is located up in here, as you can see. Just a very tidy, and you can't even really see it when you're looking at it from back here. I'll take this out real quick so you guys can get a good idea of what it looks like under there. So you kind of can see up under there, kind of not, but I got two 90-degree terminals. They hook up to the bottom of that battery switch. Then one of them runs over to a junction block, where under here I have the hot that goes to the engine and one of the wires that comes from the battery switch. Now the other wire that comes from the battery switch goes directly to the hot. What that does is the battery switch always has power going to it, but when you turn the switch on, now it's going to send power back out to the car to then power up all your systems. So the reason why this is beneficial is because regardless of if you're not using the car, if the car sits, there always seems to be a little tiny draw on the battery. So you can turn the battery switch off to where now the car won't drag down the battery at all. It doesn't matter what happens. Put this back in here. Now the other trick that we got going on is this battery float charger. I'm sure some of you guys have heard of these, but basically what they do is they apply a small amount of charge to the battery at all times, depending on what voltage is currently in the battery. So I've double side taped the plug right here, so it's very tight and sturdy in this piece of foam. And then I've also double side taped this regulator for it. And it originally had some finger clamps on the positive and negative, but I went ahead and cut those off and just put some regular ring terminals on there. That came out really nice. So all that's right and tight. So the point behind this is that once I turn that battery switch off, the battery is just going to be sitting here. It still could potentially very slowly drain, so I don't want none of that going on. So every time I park the car in the garage, I'll turn off the battery switch, plug in the float charger. That way I'll have no battery issues, and whenever I go to run the car will always have good voltage. So that's how we're looking in the rear. Also, another great benefit of your battery switch is that if you're out to eat, or you're just worried about the car wherever you are and you have it parked in a public place, you can take the battery switch with you into your restaurant, into your store that you're going into. So you turn off the battery switch, go ahead in there, and then nobody can even hotwire your car because your car has no battery power at all. So that's another positive. I'm probably not going to worry too much with that. It's probably mostly just going to be for me when I park the car in the garage. So one more thing I wanted to show you guys was from the last video, I told you I ran a wire up from the back all the way to the front to help the grounding system, and that's how we fixed the problem. So this is that wire right here. As you can see, put a grommet in there. Before we leave here and I show you how that wire is routed under the car, let's go ahead and put the plastics back, and you'll see that it basically looks completely stock. So everything's back in place, and as you can see, you would never know that there's a battery back here. You would never know that there's a battery switch. There's what the switch looked like. I painted it black so that it would not be easily seen when you look down in here. So sick. So now that you guys have checked that out, let's go underneath the car. We'll show you how we're getting our hot and ground to the front of the car. So we're back here now. You can see that this is the ground for the battery right there, and that could be potentially a faulty ground. Not quite sure, but it's not causing any issues now, so I'm not going to disturb it. So what we have right here is our hot and our negative going up to the front. You can kind of tell it goes over top of the cross member, comes down right on top of the fuel tank, and they're both wire tied together on top of that fuel filter, and then they run kind of in with that stuff, and then they run along the frame rails the entire way up. So we'll keep going here, come around the corner right here, nicely routed, stay together all the way up until the starter. So that's how we're looking, and that's how we're getting the hot and ground to the engine bay. So we'll take a look at it from the top real quick. So you guys probably saw it in the last video, but here is our negatives right here, and then our positive is obviously going to our starter. So that is the full battery system and grounding system for the car, and as of right now everything seems to be working perfectly. No reason for it not to, I know, but you know, some things are funny. So I just wanted to hop on here and make a quick video about the battery system. Everybody watching, definitely consider putting a battery switch in your car and also a battery float charger if it is this type of car where it's going to be some type of weekend warrior. You're not going to drive it an awful lot. Definitely consider that. Like I said earlier, if you guys like the video, be sure to drop a like, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be getting this thing on the dyno again soon now that we have the problems fixed, and also I want to do some driving around videos and just a review of how the car feels. So basically we have a lot of content to film for you guys, so be sure to stay tuned. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.